We have Rupinder here, right? So I was actually having a conversation regarding how interesting profile from being an army captain to become a HR thought leader, right? So Rupinder, you're just explaining to me how that you had the transition.
Yeah, so I worked there for like 6 years and then moved to the corporate sector. And I think the transition initially, I would not say it is difficult, but yes, you need to work on it for sure. So I would give it to my first boss who was in the corporate, and I started my career after leaving Indian Army with Wipro Technologies in
Right.
Bangalore.
Mm-hmm.
So my boss in Wipro was again an ex-army officer. So he was the first person who told me, Rupinder, coming to corporate, make sure when you come to the campus, your ego and your, you know, it's all kept outside of the gate of the campus, and then you come inside. And you don't give orders here. You work together as team in corporate. And that's I think I that stayed with me, and then I learned that lesson from him, and it stayed with me. And so the transition was quite smooth for me, I would say. Yes.
Understood. Oh, it would have been a bit difficult, right? Because I can imagine in the army, it's about yes, sir, and suddenly you're here
Yeah,
in the
true.
corporate world, and there's no sir. You have to address people by name. You would be like,
Yes.
it would have been very uncomfortable at first for you, right?
Initially, yes, it gets, but then I think once one gets used to it, right? Yeah.
That's um. Speaking of which, Rupinder, I just wanted to understand how did that transition happen for you from being an army captain to the HR space? Was that
Mm-hmm.
something that you wanted to do, or did you come by,
Yes.
kind of had you caught your interest while you're transitioning through the corporate world? Is that how you came across it?
Yeah, okay. So I think why did I choose HR to be my profession after while I was with the Indian Army, I am a telecom engineer by
Mhm.
education. So it was all easy voice and data communication. Things were like smooth. You learn technology day in day out, and then you work on technology. But then, as a officer commanding for a small unit, you
Mhm.
have 150 soldiers who are under you.
Right.
You are commanding 150 soldiers, and their well-being is your responsibility. Their
Mhm.
salaries is your responsibility. Their training and development is your responsibility. Their well-being, mental well-being, physical well-being, everything comes under you. You are the person
Mhm.
who is responsible. So when you are the officer commanding of a small company with 150 soldiers under you,
Mhm.
you are looked upon as the father figure or the mother figure for those 150 soldiers, right?
Yep.
So I think that's when you have a repo with them day in day out, you are meeting them, talking to them, you go for your exercises with them, you play games with them in the evening. Sometimes you go to their kitchen halls and eat dinner with them, sit with
Mhm.
them and talk things about them. That's where I think I figured things out for myself. So when I took a break and I decided that I need to transition to a corporate world, I think it was easy for me to figure out that this is what I have done. In spite of being a telecom engineer, I think I am a
Mhm.
people's person, and that is what I wanted to then pursue. So I went for my second master's from Symbiosis in HR management,
Mhm.
and picked up this as my profession in the corporate sector. So hence here I am talking to you in the capacity of a human resource professional. Yes.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. That would mean that you followed your passion
Yeah.
in terms of your career, I guess, right?
Yes, you can say that.
Wonderful, wonderful. Right. So currently you work as a human resource leader in Alberta Technologies, which is
Abalta
in,
Technologies.
yes, which is in California. So
Right.
when we speak about not just that experience, I just wanted to highlight that here. Why? Because I wanted to bring in this topic of employee experience, right? Especially at this point of time when you hear a lot of conversation on layoffs happening these days. So, is that something that you encounter in terms of uh, employees feeling really insecure in their jobs? Because when they're looking up on news, on social media, on
Yeah,
LinkedIn,
true.
They're seeing people getting laid off, right? And I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure, including myself, have thought about it. What will happen if I get laid off, right? Or is my job secure? So as an HR professional, um, you must probably have had those conversations with people, or maybe someone must have come in and said that, hey, I have this inhibition. I think that my job is not secure, or what will happen if I get laid off. Um, how are you dealing with that currently? Uh,
Okay, sure. So thank you for this question. I think I will share my personal experience right now
right.
with you on this topic. So I have been working with Abalta for almost a year now, and we are both on the product and the services side,
Mm-hmm.
right? So on the services side, we work. So our engineers work on the client
Mm-hmm.
projects.
Right.
So there is one client who is in the process of wrapping up a couple of projects, and
Mm-hmm.
they had to let go of our engineers who were on our payroll.
Right.
So when the decision came to us, it was really not easy to it was not easy to for us to sink in that decision from the
Mm-hmm.
client side. So now the problem was, how do you tell the employees who were
Right.
getting affected because of it,
Right.
right? So there are a couple of employees were affected, and we don't want any rumors in the company to go around, running around any. So where people will, we never wanted people to feel threatened, or we never wanted people to feel insecure about
Mm-hmm.
their jobs at the company. So we decided that we will talk to with these employees who were affected one on one
Right.
with their managers and the HR in the presence of them,
Mm-hmm.
and make them understand why is it happening, and why is that we cannot do anything about it. So we took that. We took those calls with them, and
Mm-hmm.
after that, as the human resource manager, I think what we decided that everybody who, even if they were not affected, but they were on the
Mm-hmm.
services side and working on the client side, it was our moral responsibility and obligation to go back and tell them that even if there are few employees who suffered because of the layoffs,
Mm-hmm.
not everybody is going through that process.
Right.
So they are safe. So I think we decided to reach out to them, schedule a call for all
Mm-hmm.
a group call for all of them. Since we are both hybrid and remote employees, so we then explained this to them that everything is taken care of with respect to their jobs. Even if there are times people would come, what happens in the future. So we assured them we will have enough projects for them to work on, right? But at the
Right.
same time, we want them to upskill themselves when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to technical skills. So we reach out to them and tell them that you need to upskill yourself and keep
Mm-hmm.
yourself at par with the market trend, what is the requirement as of now.
Right.
So go and get trainings. If
Mm-hmm.
you want any help from the organization, we don't have an L&D division in our organization, but we do have the CTO who imparts a lot of trainings to our technical training to our
Right.
employees,
Right.
engineers. So
Mm-hmm.
we make sure that we tell them that you go and upskill yourself on the latest technology, on the latest requirement from the corporate side.
Right.
And once you have those skills
Mm-hmm.
and you are trained, and you know what is required in today's scenario, with the changing times, things will be easy. I mean, and with chat GPT coming in, I'm sure you would have heard about it.
Yes.
People do get sometimes insecure, right? That also
Right.
becomes too much of a problem. But then at the same time, I think, I don't know, I was reading some article last week sometime on chat GPT, which says
Mm-hmm.
that even if chat GPT is able to give you a code for any program, right?
Mm-hmm.
You cannot rely on that code, because
Yep.
it has to be dependent on what kind of solution you're looking at.
Right.
So
Right.
so that reassurance has to go to employees all the time, to make
Right.
them understand that their jobs are safe. But the only thing required is they need to keep upskilling themselves every day. Learn,
That is
learn.
true. Yes.
Yes. So I think
Uh,
that's how we deal with them.
Wonderful. I think since you brought up Chat GPT and AI into the conversation, It's interesting because a lot of people, everywhere you open up, it's about ChatGPT. It's about how
True.
AI is gonna, I mean, uh, make people lose jobs, right? Are going to replace a lot of jobs. And in fact, some of the companies have started laying off, in fact, because of AI in terms of the marketing teams, content marketers. So those are certain things that AI is affecting. But right now, it's in the nascent stage. We are all
True.
very new to this, and we do not know what the capability is right now. Uh, what AI is capable of in terms of a full blown capability. So
True.
uh, obviously, I think people do fear that, and it's interesting that organizations choose to also address that and tell the employees that okay, AI is not going to replace your job because there is a certain degree of human intervention required, even if AI is helping to a certain degree, right?
True.
So uh, that is a great way that I think in your case you're addressing that and ensuring that your employees are not flustered or scared at all in terms
Yeah.
of this economic situation, right?
Yeah.
So I presume that while you're also communicating to your employees, you have your possibly your CXOs who is also going to be there in the meeting to reassure the
Yeah.
employees as well, right? So in this case, does the CEO come into your meetings as well?
Yeah, so I think we have our all hand meets once in a month, you know.
Right.
So that's the platform we use for our leadership team to
Mhm.
address issues like this. And then, if need arises and
Right.
we want to, that reassurance is required from the executive team members,
Mhm.
they don't shy away from it. They are more than happy to talk to them in person. So we
Right.
have a concept of coffee with CEO, you know, or
Mhm.
coffee with leadership.
Yep.
They use that kind of platform where
Mhm.
they would
Mhm.
meet five people in a row over a cup of coffee or over some lunch or something,
Right.
and talk to them and reassure them that in spite of the fact that the corporate scenarios are changing, things are
Mhm.
changing across the globe,
Right.
but we rest assured that you are here to stay. Yeah.
Understood. And speaking of all hands, right? I presume in a lot of cases, all hands were not very frequent, right? I remember that companies used to do it every quarter, but recently I've heard that companies started doing it monthly. And you did mention that you're doing it monthly.
Yeah.
Have you also seen that shift? And why is that all hands started? You started implementing online on a monthly basis and not on a quarterly basis of every 6 months.
Yeah. So I think open communication is the most important thing to give an employee experience to our employees in any
Right.
organization, right?
Mm-hmm.
Channel of communication should remain open between the management and the organization,
Mm-hmm.
and vice versa.
Right.
And employee experience is basically some total of three core ingredients, I think: technology,
Right.
culture, and workplace, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't depend only on the human resource team to
Right.
give that kind of experience to our employees these days.
Mm-hmm.
Your leadership team, your middle management, everybody is responsible, including your own employees also, right?
Right.
So I think why do we have these all hands meeting? I mean monthly, which definitely, as you mentioned, initially it was not the case.
Right.
Once in a quarter we would have that, but then we shift after post pandemic, I think, and during the pandemic time, that is
Mm-hmm.
when we figured out that people or so majority of my task force in my organization are software developers or software engineers, as we
Right.
call them.
Right.
So they are all working across various different cities in the United States. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when they are working remotely, they are working in silos, and they're all
Right.
young people, right? Young generation. And young generation is only focused on their coding job or project,
Right. Right.
and they don't interact much, and they don't want to be disturbed by anybody, not even their
Mm-hmm.
managers, let alone HR, right?
Mm.
So I think when we saw that there is a trend when people or employees are working in silos and they only meet on Zoom meetings once in a while for the project updates and everything.
Right.
I figured out that they don't even switch on their cameras, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that personal touch is definitely missing.
Right.
So we decided that we should have these all hands meet once in a month for sure
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the month. Um, and inform our employees what's happening on the company side with
Mm-hmm.
respect to how are we performing as an organization,
Mm-hmm.
what are our goals and mission or the roadmap for the next 3 years, next 5 years,
Right.
whatever is the plan, and how do they fit into that plan of action, or the
Right.
employees, and financially how are we doing at the same time, and then also reach out to them and inform them about the new initiatives which are being introduced for them to provide them the best of working environment,
Mm.
even if they are working remotely. So I think that's how it all started, and we decided that we should have one town hall meeting or all hands meeting once in a month,
Right.
where everybody comes on the same platform, share their ideas and thoughts, and the
Mm-hmm.
management is also available to address any concerns should there be any from the from the engineers or from the employees. So yeah, that's, I think that is why we started this 1 month, once in a month, because of
Mm-hmm.
all people working remotely in silos, not reaching out to anybody. So yeah, and it's been a good experience in last 1 year that
Mm-hmm.
every month you get to listen to a lot of good ideas from them.
Right.
You when they ask you questions, you see that they are involved, and when they are
Mhm.
involved, you know that they will be productive because they feel that they belong to the organization, right? They are included in their, yeah. So I think
Mhm.
that's the advantage of doing it once in a month.
Thank you so much, Rupinder, for explaining that. Which brings me to one specific question here regarding the all hands. You said that these employees ask questions during the all hands, right? So,
Mhm.
is there some sort of a forum where uh, they can just type in the question? Is it generally on the chat box somewhere?
Yeah.
Or
So
some employees do not want their names to be revealed, right? They want their questions to
anonymity.
be anonymous, right?
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that?
Okay, so that's
Mhm.
again an interesting thing. So I think all hands meet, people don't shy away from asking questions. They
Uh-huh.
are, since everybody's on camera and when they're talking, on Zoom, you can see who is talking and who is the question. But we
Mhm.
do have we do have ways and methods where people would want to reach out to HR. I
Right.
mean, I think I would give it to my management, where they have given me that free hand, where I am reaching out to employees or they reach out to me,
Mhm.
and I assure them then any feedback which is
Right.
coming from them, from for the organization, or from the for the leadership, or for the
Mhm.
HR initiatives, or for the HR team, or anything,
Right.
any feedback which comes from them. If they
Mhm.
don't want their names to be taken, I give them that assurance that anonymity will be maintained.
Mm.
I don't record the
Right.
names. I just record the feedback. I
Uh-huh.
and then I make sure that during my executive meeting every month, I pass
Mhm.
on those feedbacks to my, my management or the leadership team. Plus, we also have surveys which are
Right.
totally anonymous. So we hold these every quarter. We hold these engagement surveys,
Mhm.
or or any onboarding survey, or any kind of service, or pulse surveys. We organize those pulse
Right.
services, and those maintain the anonymity of the employee for sure. So they are aware that if they go to the HR department, first the anonymity will be maintained,
Right.
and when they participate in these feedback surveys,
Mhm.
those anonymities will be maintained with through the survey. And
Mhm.
I think it's easy to then deal with feedbacks and provide them with the solution.
Understood. So you're saying that one thing is ensuring that you tell them that, hey, whatever feedback that is given to you is going to be completely anonymous. You're not going to take names, and that's going to be very confidential, right? Apart from that, you also conduct pulse surveys on A monthly or a quarterly basis, Rupinder?
Engagement surveys we do quarterly.
Right.
Pulse surveys, as and when we feel there is a need to just organize a survey on anything which we have started or we want a feedback from our employees, we would
Right.
arrange a pulse survey. So you can say once in a month we would have one pulse survey.
Understood. Understood. So, we are looking at the entire employee experience scenario here, right? So, which means that because you've worked in a host of companies in your career, right? To different companies, product and service companies altogether, you would have seen that there is a common trend in the employee experience, probably before the pandemic and also after the pandemic as well, right? What is that one thing that, if I may ask, you think has changed pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, right? Maybe in terms of the experience or in terms of the employee's psyche. If you can just think about one or two things that is has completely changed
Yeah,
after the
sure.
pandemic, right?
I think what exactly has changed after the pandemic and what was it was there still, it is still there, but what
Mhm.
has actually changed that we have had a lot of empathy which has come into the leaders right now.
Right.
I see the leaders have become more empathetic. Uh, it is not always the business and the deliverables. They
Mhm.
think about their employees, what they want,
Right.
what's the feedback that they're receiving from the employees, and when that feedback is received, they definitely want to make sure that they work on those feedbacks and go back
Right.
and tell them the progress made on those feedbacks. I
Mhm.
think that is one thing which I have seen personally. The leadership has become very supportive.
Right.
Mental well-being has become the most important thing post pandemic,
Mhm.
and leaders are open to provide solutions in the space of mental health and mental well-being, right?
Right.
Last but not the least, they are leadership is open to provide solution in the form of giving better I would say benefits to the employees,
Mhm.
so that employee, once he is in the office space,
Right.
he or she doesn't have to work about what is going to happen with respect to his finances, with respect to his medical benefits, with respect to anything where they know that the company or the organization is there to take care of their basic requirements when it comes to their families or something. So I think
Mhm.
that is what has changed pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. People have become more empathetic. People have become more supportive. They
Right.
understand and know acknowledge each other and are ready to help, and specifically the leadership.
I do agree on it. But speaking of empathy, what I also noticed these days is because employees understand that everyone has started showing empathy, there's also a flaw towards it or a flip side to the whole empathic story is that the employees, I've heard that employees might take advantage of the empathy given out, right? Is that also something that you have come to face? Because yeah, it's more than 3 years since the pandemic,
Yeah.
and I think it's a time that people might. This is something that I've heard here as well, right? Because of too much of empathy, people have taken companies for granted.
Yeah.
Employees have taken that. Okay, I would say taking advantage of it. Is this something that you have also seen, Rupinder?
Yeah, I think you are right when you say that. With anything positive that
Mhm.
comes around, there is some negative element to it, right?
Right,
So you will have pros and cons of anything that you come across in your life, in your corporate sector or personal, private,
right.
professional, both, all, right? So I think yes, you are right when you say that people do take advantage of couple of times with the facilities that you are providing them.
Mhm.
And they sometimes do take an organization or the HR department for a ride.
Right,
But I think as of yet, I don't think that I have come across any such nuisance in my career over post-pandemic, what I have seen, where
right.
people are taking advantage of it. I think people, yeah, they do take advantage.
Mhm.
I can say that they are naive sometimes, but
Mhm.
at the same time, these employees are those who are professionals. They
Mhm.
understand,
Right.
and I have come across all the professionals who have been working. So I don't think that I have come across, but I do agree with your point that there are times I'm
Right.
not sure any other leader in this space would have felt that. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm sure people would have gone through and seen where employees would have taken advantage of their empathetic leaders or the benefits that the HR or the organization is providing to them, and they
Mm-hmm.
would try to take system for a ride.
Right.
Yeah, and that is a possibility for sure, and I'm sure people would have done that for sure, but I haven't come across any such example as yet.
Yeah, I can see that you're being very diplomatic there, Rupi. So
No, I'm
it's
not. I'm
totally
being
fine.
very,
Yes, just
very,
scrap the question
I'm being very
altogether.
honest that I haven't come across any such, but yeah, I'm sure people do take advantage of it for sure, no problem. And I think the best part with the organization that I'm working for, I
Mhm.
think we still have not started asking our employees to come to office.
Right, right,
We want to honor their decision of working remotely. Why?
right.
Because if they think that they are wasting their times commuting, if they think that when they are at office, there are a lot of distractions with respect to coffee
Mhm.
time, smoke time,
Right, right.
and then meeting and talking or chatting or catching up with other colleagues of theirs. So they are more thorough and they are more focused when they are working from the comfort zone of their homes. So I
Mhm.
think that is a decision which we took as an organization, that we
Right,
will let them work remotely till the time, and or hybrid option is also available. So
right.
anybody who wants to come to office once in a week, twice a week, every day in a week, we are more than welcome to if it's, I mean, see them in office. And those who
Mhm.
want to work remotely, we are open for them to work remotely. We don't want to force. I think so. That is why I think I haven't come across any such example where employees would have taken advantage of the system or scenario. That's why I'm saying that I haven't come across any such example yet.
That's interesting because at this time when we look at the news, we kind of see that companies have started asking employees to come work, right? Even bigger corporations like Google, they've actually asked all, for example, financial services, Big Four, EY, KPMG, all of them have started asking employees to come, at least in a hybrid mode, at least.
Right.
And I think that depends, right? I suppose in your company, it's more of a tech-based company, a lot of developers, which is there. Is it the same for all the departments, or certain departments there is an expectation to come to
No,
office?
it's same. It's
Is
same
the
for
same, is
everybody.
it?
It's same for like I'm working from home today.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, there is no hard and fast rule for us to be at
Mhm.
office, but we out of our own choice, we go to office thrice
Right.
a week, 3 times a week. But yeah,
Mhm.
we do take liberty sometime to work from the comfort zone of our homes. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's not there is no bifurcation that this department can come and this department cannot. So anything and
Right.
everything, whatever is the rule or
Mhm.
regulation, is applicable for any and for every department.
Right. With your organization being fully, I would say, uh, would I be wrong if I say it's fully remote now?
You can say hybrid because we are headquartered in California. So California
Mhm.
employees definitely come to work. So we are hybrid.
Okay,
Remote,
understood.
yeah, we are hybrid generally. People do
Mhm.
come to
Mhm.
office these days.
So have you possibly you would actually checked out the productivity before a pandemic when you were working from office, and the productivity after the pandemic, of after you started working from home, right? Has there been a decline in the productivity? Is that something that you measured from your side?
No, I don't think so. I can say that there is no decline in the productivity before
Mm-hmm.
pandemic, post pandemic, and
Right.
after now pandemic is over. What I see today,
Mm-hmm.
I think people when they happen to work in the comfort zone of their home spaces
Right.
and in the comfort of their own time zones, you know,
Mm-hmm.
they they are more responsible that way and more professional that way. That this is the deliverable. I need
Mm-hmm.
to provide it on the deadline, So they will work whatever way they want to, but will make sure
Right.
that it gets delivered on the day of the deadline, right?
Understood. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't think that anything has changed after that, after pre-pandemic or post-pandemic. People, I think times have changed. People are professional. They respect their jobs, and they do justice to what is happening. Yeah, one odd examples or some employees could be there like that, but I don't think. I personally haven't come across any such scenario where the productivity would have decreased from pre-pandemic to post-pandemic, or now when the pandemic is over.
Understood. Understood. So because you were
You need to
talking
provide
about
them with the best of the tools, right? When you have given them the technology and the tools to work on, I think I don't think anybody will be any time we can see decline in their productivity. Once they have resources
right.
to deliver,
Yep.
people will deliver for sure. You have to be proactive enough to give them what kind of resources they need to work on. So once they have the resources, I think things are taken care of then.
Like resources in terms of not just material resources. I think.
No, not
Uh,
resources in terms of technology, in the
yep.
terms of making yourself available when they want,
Right.
making their managers available to them,
Right.
making their project, teams available to them. Yeah, and shared space where they can see the track, what is the track and what is the progress made on a project, and anybody and everybody can work on those cloud space,
Right.
your SharePoints, where data can be shared. So I'm talking about these resources.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
It's interesting because when you said that you're kind of like working hybrid, I think that when this happened, that it posed a huge challenge in terms of how do you measure your employee experience, right? How are you? You probably must have pivoted your entire employee experience program when the shift from an office atmosphere to a hybrid or a remote atmosphere came in, right? Because again, you cannot have one-on-one conversations just like
Yeah.
in office, and water cooler conversations are non-existent now. Even if people are not interacting as they would have interacted if they were in office, right? So was that a big challenge for you in terms of your measuring your employee experience, or understanding the employee experience?
No, I think it's not a big challenge. When we wanted to measure the employee experience initiatives, the metrics that we follow right now is, you need to have data in front of you to
Right.
see how you are performing, right? Data speaks volume.
Right.
So I think we organize a lot of employee experience surveys. And as I mentioned, pulse survey, we do
Right.
it a lot of time every month. We just like that. We have something called skip level meetings, which have been initiated as one of the, you know, outcome of one of the engagement surveys that we had,
Right.
where people wanted to be that HR should reach out to them. And our performance management system is where we don't follow a 360-degree review. We just
Right.
have the peer review, the subordinate review, and the manager review, but not the down to up review. We don't
Right.
follow that.
Right.
So I think that is where we started skip level meetings. And when you meet the team members one-on-one, and you assure them that the anonymity of the conversation will be maintained, the person will be maintained, people don't shy away in sharing their thoughts out.
Right. Right.
Then you have these net promoter scores, right? That is another KPI that you can just ask the question whether people would recommend your company or not to their families or friends or something. That will give you an clear indication how are you performing as an organization. I think the other KPI which I would want to refer to is the internal referrals. If there are job opening available in my organization, are people giving referrals for those job postings?
Right.
if they are not referring anybody, that means there is something wrong with your organization, right? Because people don't want anybody else to come and work for you. So that's the most important thing for me to see. There are job postings open on the job portal of the company webpage.
Right.
How many internal referrals have come to HR from the employees right now who are working on in the organization?
Right.
So that's another way. And then I think the most important KPI is retention rate. What's my retention rate, right? How are my people? I mean, do they feel that they belong?
Right.
Are they ready to work with us? Do they see a long-term association with the organization?
Right.
That is what I would want to see. And then I also, last but not the least, there are two more. Are your employees getting recognized by their managers or by their peers? If you have a recognition frequency where you can recognize your peer to peer or from your leaders to your managers or managers to the team members, that talks volume. What kind of culture do you have? What kind of experience employees are having in the organization? And what kind of wellness initiatives are you providing them? I think these are a couple of KPIs which I would use to measure the employee experience that my organization is giving to my employees. Yeah, that's what I would use.
It's interesting, Rupinder, because I picked up two things on the conversation. The first one, where you mentioned that you're looking at referrals to understand whether the employees really would refer someone into the company, right? That's a great, what do I call it? Great way to look at it, right? Because I've never thought about it that way as well, right? If people refer their friends or colleagues or family members to the organization, that means that they're really happy with the organization. They want other people to come and work on it. And this is quite in line with the employee ENPS, right? Employee Net Promoter Score.
Net Promoter Score.
How likely are you to recommend? But this is a very, very practical implementation of it that you're measuring rather than sending out a survey asking them the question, right? Which is very interesting. So when we talk about that, Rupita, so in this case, some organization have a referral program which incentivizes the employees, right? Saying that if you refer and if someone is selected, you get this X amount of money, right? When you incentivize it, it doesn't have the same outcome as you intended to be right now. In your company, is it incentivized or it's not incentivized right now?
It is incentivized. Of course, I mean, if you look at it, in today's world, money talks.
Yeah.
Money talks, right? So I think sometimes even if it is not incentivized, people would still give reference, but then they would come back and ask, oh, I made a reference. Will I be getting some recognition for that? Because I got a couple of employees to work for the company, right? So I think making it incentivized is the best way possible.
It's the best way.
You want to recognize them. That this is, since you are happy to be a part of the organization and you are referring your ex-colleagues or your family members or any friend circle, from your friend circle, you are referring people to come and join the organization. That means you are my cheerleader for the company. You are my ambassador for the company. So I definitely want to recognize you and incentivize you. So I think that is the science behind it, that I want to give incentive to my company or organization's brand ambassador, because word of mouth is very important.
And obviously they won't recommend someone whom they don't like, or perhaps they think
if they find them to be a competition for them, they will not recommend, right? But if they're recommending, that means they don't have any threat of any competition for them.
Right. And also they wouldn't recommend someone really bad because that affects their reputation as well.
Their reputation also, true.
That's very interesting. Interesting point that you made, Rupinder. And you also spoke about recognition. So the R&R program, right? So
yeah, R&R program.
You rewards and recognition, right? So do you have a medium through which someone can recognize or an employee or a peer can recognize another peer, or is it just in a way where you possibly have awards being sent out every quarter
Mhm.
saying that recognizing or every
Yeah.
6 months? Because some organizations like ours, we have a channel where we can actually say that, hey, Andre, thank you for this, and here's X amount of points.
Mhm.
Right? Is that something that
Yeah.
you also do?
Yeah. So we right now we don't have a platform, but we are
Mm-hmm.
working on that platform. So that was one of the most important outcome of our engagement survey, which happened
Right,
in January this year.
right,
Okay.
right.
So we have just finished our discussions with one of the partners, and we have finalized a partner, and we are about to give them, we are about to start using them
Mm-hmm.
as a platform. But
Right.
other than that, we do have internal recognitions which
Mm-hmm.
happen. So say, for example, there is a project which went well. So the
Mm-hmm.
project manager would recommend or recognize the team members on the or during the all hands meet,
Right,
right? Or during the executive meetings that we have.
right.
And then if they find that that recognition should be rewarded, then
Mm-hmm.
they reach out to the HR team that we want to reward them this amount of we want to incentivize them with this kind of money, and we approve them.
Right.
Looking at the budget, we have a budget set for our rewards and recognition
Okay.
platform, and
Mm-hmm.
for this initiative as well. So yes, this is something which is right now, the platform was not there, but we have just
Mm-hmm.
finished the discussions with to implement the platform, and we will have something up and live going from 1st of July. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, without a platform also, we have something on those lines, which is where managers, peers can
Mm-hmm.
recommend their colleagues or their team members. And if they want to reward them, they reach out to the HR that this is the kind of incentive that they want to offer to the or reward the team member or the
Mm-hmm.
peer. And we approve it as an
Right,
HR, and
right.
it goes to the finance department, and then things taken care of. But because it's very important, right? It's very
Yes,
important. People crave for recognition,
that's true. That's true.
employees, specifically
Mm-hmm.
employees. And I think we should not wait for a complete year for them to tell them how their performance was for the year.
Mm-hmm.
It's too late to recognize their performance. I mean,
Right.
it's important. Yes, you recognize their performance after 1 year, do the merit, give them the increments, do a merit performance reviews, and give them the
Mm-hmm.
merit. But at the same time, I think it's important that you recognize them day in, day out for their efforts that they are making towards the organization.
Right,
Uh,
right.
any organization is a nobody without their people or resources, right?
That is absolutely true. I
Yeah,
couldn't agree more,
yeah.
Rupinder.
And we are the heart of an organization. Employees
Right.
are the heart of an organization. So if you, it's a very well known saying which says, if you want your business to be taken care of, take care of your employees, and they will take care of your business.
Yep.
I
That is.
totally believe in it. So I think my organization also believes in it. So we do have an R&R system in place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that is also well said in terms of any organization. People make it an organization is something that we hear people say. I mean, HR leaders like yourself say, and you in fact said that as well, Rupinder. Meanwhile, in the lines of the employee engagement that we're talking about, we spoke about R&R, we also spoke about the referral program, how you're looking at that as an indicator to how employees perceive an organization or how they think of the organization, right? Apart from this, right, one question that I have is you must be having a tough time in terms of keeping the employees engaged in terms of activities. Because when we were in office, there were activities inside office. We used to meet up, we would go out for team lunches or team dinners. There were activities to and pizza nights. We had movie nights at office. So right now, how are we engaging, or how are you engaging those employees? Right, I'm pretty sure people must be talking about we need more activities, we need more engagement, right?
Yes, I think right now how we are handling it, we you said it. I mean, you have given the answer to this question. We have pizza parties every month organized in our office. So we
Right.
have one lunch which is given to employees every month,
Mm-hmm.
and we do it during the monthly town hall or all hands meet.
Right.
So uh, town hall or all hands meet, we organize lunch for them, and
Right.
employees who are working within the vicinity of the city, they
Mm-hmm.
definitely travel to the headquarters office
Mm-hmm.
and they make sure that they are there. Other than that, we do have different managers who are located in different cities, and if you have, even if there are 3 or 4 employees, they will go out for a lunch or a dinner or happy hour once in a month, or once in
Mm-hmm.
twice in a month.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of freedom has been given to the managers, that they can
Right.
organize those kind of things so that people come to a common. And then apart from that, there is another thing which we hold, which is what should I say, we definitely have virtual games being
Right.
organized for them, virtual events being organized for our employees.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I would say I'm grateful to the technology that is available today.
Right.
And these virtual meetups, these virtual groups, these
Mm-hmm.
virtual parties, these virtual gamings,
Mm-hmm.
this industry has flourished a lot in last
Right.
3 years, right? And because of them, I think I would say that becomes little easy from the HR perspective, that you
Right.
are able to bring people on the same platform,
Mm-hmm.
give them an arrangement where they can just unwind from their work, forget about the work, and you
Mm-hmm.
organize a couple of games for them online. They all
Right.
participate, and at the end, you declare a winner, and then everybody is happy about it, and then they go back to their work, right?
Yep.
So we do a lot of those activities to keep them
Mm-hmm.
engaged and to give them a feeling that they are not left alone. Even if they are working remotely, their hands are
Right.
held. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Um, uh, I think one final question I have for you,
Sure.
Rupinder, is that you've been working as an HR for a long time, right? What is that one thing that you think is always a problem for you? It's something that you wish you could solve, but still it comes back at some form or the other, right? Have you ever had a situation like this or a problem like that that you wish you could solve it forever?
There would be so many of them, I am sure.
But
But
what
I
is that
think
one
the
common thing
most
that you
important
see? Yeah.
common thing that I come across, where it keeps coming all the
Mm-hmm.
time, what I have seen till
Mm-hmm.
date in the last 25 years of my career in HR,
Yep.
is that employees need to be told all the time that or they need to be reassured all the time
Mm-hmm.
by an organization that they are welcomed in the organization, they are
Mm-hmm.
included or being a part of the organization.
Right.
They they the employees need to have a psychological safety,
Mm.
right? I think that is what, every time, anytime, wherever, whichever organizations I have worked for, that
Right.
insecurity on the job
Mm.
is something which needs to be addressed once and
Right.
for all.
Yep.
My given if I would have a magic wand with me, I would just make sure that everybody is secure in their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I would want to go back and tell every person who would be listening to this, that
Right.
make sure that you keep upskilling yourselves day in day out, keep
Right.
learning.
Right.
And when you have that learning
Mm-hmm.
attitude, and when you want to learn new things, new technology, new skills,
Mm-hmm.
that psychological safety in an organization, and that reassurance that your jobs are safe will always be there.
That is the
Just
perfect.
have that positive attitude of
Mm-hmm.
a learner. be a learner throughout your life,
A lifelong learner is it?
a lifelong learner.
Yeah. Upskill yourself. Do not
Upskill
think
yourself.
that you're good enough. I
Yes.
suppose, right? That's the key message here. Perfect. I think that is a perfect message to end the conversation. Rupinder, thank you so much for joining in. Thank you so much for coming and spending your
Thank you, Andrew.
time.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. It was a pleasure to talk to you, and I'm sure we had a great discussion, and I learned a lot from this discussion today. I mean, yes, thank you for having me for sure.
I think it was a wonderful discussion as well,
Yeah,
Rupinder. Thank you so
sure.
much.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good day.